Deion Sanders had saddest line after Colorado's blowout loss to Utah. The lights in Salt Lake City were bright, but the mood around the Colorado Buffaloes was anything but. What was supposed to be a statement return from the bye week turned into one of the darkest nights of the Deion Sanders era in Boulder. When the final whistle blew, the scoreboard told the story: Utah 53, Colorado 7. But the pain ran much deeper than numbers could express. For Coach Prime, a man who has made his career on swagger, belief, and bold transformation, Saturday night was humbling in every sense. And perhaps the most haunting part wasn't the lopsided score or even the demoralizing statistics. It was Sanders' own words afterward, a moment of brutal honesty that peeled back the charismatic armor of Coach Prime and revealed the vulnerable heart of Deion Sanders, the man. "This is bad," Sanders said quietly at the post-game podium, his usual confidence replaced by disbelief. "This is probably the worst beating I've ever had, except for when my mama hooped me as a kid." It was a line that instantly went viral, not for its humor, but for its rawness. For perhaps the first time since arriving at Colorado, Sanders looked defeated. The nightmare in Salt Lake, when everything fell apart. Utah didn't just beat Colorado, they dismantled them. From the opening snap, the Utes asserted control, making a mockery of the Buffalo's offensive line and exposing every weakness in the roster. By halftime, the Utes had outgained Colorado 398 yards to -18, an almost impossible stat at the Power 5 level. Utah's freshman quarterback Bird Ficklin looked like a Heisman candidate, slicing through Colorado's defense at will and rushing for 163 yards. The Buffs' offense, meanwhile, looked completely lost. Quarterback Kydon Salter was under constant duress, unable to find rhythm or protection. Every drive felt like an act of desperation rather than execution. By the time the halftime buzzer sounded, the Utes had built a 43-0 lead, and Deion Sanders could only shake his head on the sideline. "This was a complete beatdown," said ESPN analyst Brock Osweiler during the broadcast. "You can talk about schemes, play calling, or personnel, but at some point it's about pride. Utah wanted it more." Sanders' post-game confession: "No excuses, just painful truths." Deion Sanders is rarely one to sugarcoat reality, and that didn't change on this painful night. In his post-game remarks, he dissected his team's collapse with an almost clinical precision, but the emotion behind his voice made every word heavier. "For 122 yards rushing, you're not winning," Sanders said. "You're not winning at 300 yards rushing. You're not winning at 250. It's not possible. They had 587 yards of total offense. You're not winning." He paused, as if letting the numbers settle like stones in the room. "Special teams gave up a fake punt and a blocked punt. You're not winning. All three phases we got our butts kicked." For a man who's built an empire on confidence and belief, it was one of the most unfiltered admissions of failure in his coaching career. There was no bravado, no blame game, only accountability. Life after Shedeur and Travis. The emotional void. Much of Colorado's downfall this season has been tied to the departures of Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, both of whom left for the NFL after the 2024 campaign. Shedeur, Deion's son and former star quarterback, had been the heartbeat of the team, the emotional compass and playmaker who turned chaos into confidence. Travis Hunter, the dynamic two-way phenom, embodied the very idea of prime football: fearless, explosive, and relentless. Without them, the Buffs have lacked identity. The offense has sputtered, averaging fewer than 20 points per game, and the defense, once held together by Hunter's versatility, has been porous. Sanders himself has admitted how difficult it's been to adjust to a post-Shedeur, post-Hunter roster. The transfer portal brought in talent, but not chemistry. Nil deals brought headlines, but not cohesion. And as Utah tore through Colorado's defense, it became painfully clear: belief alone isn't enough. From swagger to scrutiny, the changing narrative around Coach Prime. A year ago, Deion Sanders was the hottest story in college football. Colorado's 3-0 start to the 2024 season turned Coach Prime into a national phenomenon. Celebrities, cameras, and fans flooded Boulder. The Prime effect was real. Ticket sales skyrocketed, merchandise flew off shelves, and recruits suddenly wanted to be Buffaloes. But as quickly as the hype rose, the cracks began to show. Losses to TCU, Georgia Tech, and BYU chipped away at the narrative. By the time Utah delivered this blowout, the fairy tale had turned into a cautionary tale. The Buffaloes now sit at 3-5, needing to win 3 of their final 4 games just to become bowl eligible. The team that once preached, "We coming," now finds itself asking, what happened? Sanders' energy and charisma remain unmatched, but questions about his long-term vision are growing louder. Has Colorado plateaued under Prime? Can he rebuild again without the star power of his son and Hunter? Even Sanders' most loyal supporters are starting to wonder how much patience the university and its boosters will have. The $33 million question: can Colorado afford to fire Coach Prime? In the background of every post-game press conference looms a massive financial reality. After a strong 2024 season, Colorado rewarded Sanders with a 5-year, $54 million contract extension through 2029. The deal was meant to ensure stability and secure the program's momentum. Now it's a golden cage. If Colorado were to part ways with Sanders today, they'd owe him approximately $33.6 million, one of the largest buyouts in college football. Firing him would be financially devastating. That means Sanders isn't going anywhere, at least not yet. But that also means he must find a way to fix this fast. A team searching for its soul. When Deion Sanders arrived in Boulder, he didn't just promise wins, he promised transformation. He spoke of changing lives, redefining college football, and building a culture of accountability. And for a while, he delivered. But rebuilding programs isn't just about belief. It's about resilience, adaptation, and patience. 3 things that college football rarely offers in abundance. Saturday's loss wasn't just about X's and O's. It was a test of culture, and right now, Colorado's is fractured. At this point, this is about character. Sanders told his players at halftime, according to sideline reporter Stormy Buonantony, "This is about what kind of person you want to be. You're going to see a different attitude from this team in the second half." The Buffs did fight harder after halftime, but it wasn't enough. And the truth is, character-building moments aren't always victorious ones. Looking ahead, redemption or regression? Up next for Colorado is a home game against Arizona, a matchup that suddenly feels like a must-win. The Buffalo's bowl hopes are hanging by a thread, and morale is fragile. But if there's one thing Deion Sanders has proven throughout his life, from NFL legend to college coach, it's that he doesn't stay down for long. He's faced doubters before. He's been written off, mocked, and underestimated. And every time, he's bounced back stronger. Still, this moment feels different. It's not just about proving critics wrong anymore. It's about proving to himself and to his team that Coach Prime isn't just a brand. It's a belief system that can survive the storms of adversity. Final thoughts. The weight of belief. As Deion Sanders walked off the field in Salt Lake City, his trademark sunglasses were gone. His expression was solemn, his steps slow. For once, there was no camera-ready charisma, just quiet reflection. The man who once told the world, "We coming," now faces his toughest question yet. Can he still get them there? His post-game line: "This is probably the worst beating I've ever had, except for when my mama hooped me as a kid," may have been delivered with humor, but it carried the heavy truth of a leader grappling with failure. For Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes, the journey ahead will define more than a season. It will define whether Coach Prime can turn humiliation into redemption, or whether this was the night the magic finally faded in Boulder.